Welcome to the Screen Crush Break Room. I'm Ryan Airy. Let's talk about Darth Vader, specifically why Darth Vader was right, or at least why we can sympathize with his motives and understand his goals. Now first, I want to make it very clear that Screen Crush does not support dictatorships, genocide, child murder, or Greedo shooting first. So to understand Vader's motives, first we have to understand the environment that created him, the Republic. And to understand the Republic, we have to know a little bit about its history. Very light spoilers for Star Wars The High Republic are ahead. A few hundred years before the prequel trilogy, there was an era called the High Republic. Now, this was an age of galactic unity and prosperity, where the benefits of the wealthy were shared with everyone under the slogan, "We are all the Republic." During this era, the Jedi were true peacekeepers, who listened to the song of the Force. If the Republic wanted the Jedi's help in a large-scale military conflict, then this issue was debated by the Council. The Jedi's first loyalty was to the Force, not the Republic or an ideology. Remember this line?
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
To most High Republic Jedi, that statement would have been shocking. The problem with such a well-intended, prosperous era is that the next generations and rulers and Jedi took on the sense that they were always on the side of good, and never imagined otherwise. But a better example might be Germany following World War I. They were one of the world's most thriving democracies. They made the best movies, read more books than any other country, provided universal health care, and yet one of the most intellectual societies in the world were usurped by the Nazi regime. And yes, this applies to Star Wars. Nazis in space! The Republic that Anakin Skywalker was born into was a mess. They turned a blind eye to slavery.
I can't believe there's still slavery in the galaxy. The Republic's anti-slavery laws are...
The Republic doesn't exist out here.
The government was so weak on Anakin's home planet that their currency was useless.
Republic credits are no good out here. I need something more real.
A far cry from the High Republic unity, this Republic is mired down in bureaucracy. I'd like to think that the Senate scenes in The Phantom Menace are so boring because they display how ineffective this government is.
Will you defer your motion to allow a commission to explore the validity of your accusations?
Instead of working for a common interest, this government is working for special interests like the Trade Federation.
Into the bureaucrats, the true rulers of the Republic, and on the payroll of the Trade Federation, I might add.
Even when a member planet is invaded by a hostile army, a greedy lobby is able to tie up the wheels of government so nothing gets done. Sound familiar? Enter the Clone Wars. Though we don't see this much in the movies, the Separatists were not mustache-twirling bad guys. The Confederacy of Independent Systems was composed of thousands of planets who grew tired of Republic stagnation and formed their own government. Yes, they were secretly led by a Sith Lord, but so was the Republic. Clone Wars episodes like Heroes on Both Sides and The Pursuit of Peace show that the Separatists were just governments trying to do right by their people and live in peace. Remember, at Geonosis, it was the Republic troops who attacked first, to arrest 3 prisoners who were trespassing on Geonosian territory. Anakin grew up in a much simpler world, a world of master and slave, or right and wrong.
You should be very proud of your son. He gives without any thought of reward.
Well, he knows nothing of greed.
So to him, this system of the Galactic Senate is a nightmare. The complications and special interests get in the way of actually helping people.
We need a system where the politicians sit down and discuss the problem, agree what's in the best interest of all the people, and then do it.
So, Anakin longs for simpler days, and he also longs for attachment.
Your thoughts dwell on your mother.
The Jedi have a code that forbids attachment, so every Jedi will serve all life equally and not provide special treatment for their friends and relatives. There's actually a parallel here with the Senate, which operates best when it serves all people and not a few special interests. But Anakin never adjusts to this life of detachment. He dreams of his mother.
I don't sleep well anymore.
Because of your mother?
And he's quick to transfer his attachment to Padme, the first pretty girl that he ever met.
Are you an angel?
I've thought about her every day since we've parted, and
Notice that Obi-Wan doesn't admonish Anakin for this, probably because he understands.
She was pleased to see us.
He had his own romantic attachment to Duchess Satine on Mandalore.
Had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order.
Anakin began to bend the Jedi Code into something simpler that he could understand, and would justify his love for Padme.
Are you allowed to love? I thought that was forbidden for a Jedi.
attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden. Compassion, which I would define as unconditional love, is central to a Jedi's life. So you might say that we are encouraged to love.
But Anakin is not the only Jedi who is straying from the path. Yoda points out,
"Too sure of themselves they are, even the older, more experienced ones."
Remember earlier when I said the Jedi in the High Republic era actually had a debate on whether or not to add their forces to a Republic defense force for a single battle? In Attack of the Clones, there's no debate. The Jedi not only join the defense force, they are immediately placed in command.
Concentrate all your fire on the nearest starship.
Yes, sir.
Mace Windu is leading the attack, even though earlier in the movie he said,
"We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers."
So we see that all Jedi, not just Anakin, are moving the goalposts. At least Mace Windu admits this a few years later.
I think it is time we inform the Senate that our ability to use the Force is diminished.
So this is the structure of hypocrisy that Anakin was raised in. People who stuck to a code until it was inconvenient. He was faced with complicated bureaucracies that never helped anyone. But then, Chancellor Palpatine offered Anakin attachment as he became a father figure.
I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi, Anakin.
But also, he seems able to cut through the partisan bickering and was able to get things done.
The trouble is that people don't always agree.
Well, then they should be made to.
By whom? Who's gonna make them?
Someone wise.
A lot of people think that Anakin fell to the dark side when he killed Mace Windu, or when he killed the younglings. But he actually fell to the dark side one lonely night in Tatooine, when he took revenge on the Sand People for killing his mother.
They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals.
Well, I mean, at least they were all dangerous warriors, right?
And not just the men, but the women, and the children, too.
12 seconds later.
Oh, yikes. The problem is that Anakin, us, and yeah, the Republic suffer from ethnocentrism. The idea that our own people, human beings, are great, but these are just aliens who can't talk.
What are you doing?
Negotiating.
Except we know that's not true. Note that after Anakin's confession, Padme comforts him. She has no problem with Anakin killing women and children because, hey, whatever, they're just sand people, right? The Jedi, once the moral center of the galaxy, are letting everyone down, especially Anakin. When he's tormented by visions of his wife's death, Yoda gives him terrible, dogmatic advice.
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
To Anakin, Yoda is saying that the Jedi protect all life, except the one life that he cares the most about. And on the other side, there's Palpatine. He promises to save Padme and to cut through the bureaucratic bullshit of the Jedi, just like he cut through the bureaucracy of the Senate.
If one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic, narrow view of the Jedi.
Anakin turns on Mace Windu not just because Palpatine can save Padme, but because he kind of agrees with him about the Jedi. He just saw 3 Jedi try to overthrow the government. He asked Mace Windu to obey the law.
He must stand trial.
And instead, he was going to execute the leader of the galaxy in cold blood. The Jedi failed Anakin and the Republic. So, back to the child murder. Anakin permitted himself to kill the Sand People because they weren't of him. They were part of the Sith culture that killed his mother. He permits himself to kill the younglings because they are part of a different Sith culture, in his view, the Jedi. If they were allowed to live, then they will grow up and perpetuate this same Sith culture. Because the people wanted a scapegoat for the war, just as Anakin wanted a father. After Revenge of the Sith, Vader worked tirelessly to reach Padme in the realm of the dead and resurrect her. Even after his turn, he believes he's on the side of life.
I will even learn to stop people from dying.
Anakin equates the ability to do good with the amount of power that he has.
I will be the most powerful Jedi ever.
Vader began working to spread the Empire's influence across the galaxy. Remember how much he hated the complicated bureaucracy of the Senate? Having seen the chaos of the planetary secession firsthand, he works to consolidate political power. His goal is to make sure that war never returns to the galaxy, so that everyone can live under one harmonious system. He even took time to kill Watto and free any slaves that he might have owned. And then these snot-nosed punks come out of nowhere and undermined everything he's built. Former senators like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa are traitors who raise their swords against the government. In Vader's view, they are undermining the peace that Palpatine achieved following the Clone Wars.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire!
Now, Vader was also a party to the destruction of Alderaan. George Lucas intended the Death Star to be a metaphor for the atomic bomb.
Alderaan is peace, but we have no weapons. You can't
You will
possibly...
prefer another target, a military target? Then name the system.
The cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not military targets. They were chosen in part because civilian deaths would undermine the Emperor's ability to wage war. From Vader's point of view, Alderaan was a cradle of rebellion that had to be destroyed. And this is all predicated on Vader's belief that Palpatine is just and wise and that his master always knows best. But when Vader discovers that he has a son, he changes his mind about the Emperor. In the comics, Vader discovers that a Skywalker blew up the Death Star and realizes that Palpatine lied to him.
It seems in your anger, you killed her.
The realization that Palpatine has been manipulating him leads Vader to decide that now, only he can fix the galaxy. He will overthrow the Emperor and create a new empire in its place.
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
In the real world, it's not unusual for dictatorships to be cheered into power. Hitler rose to power when the Depression and rampant inflation undermined the Weimar Republic. He talked about things that make his people feel strong. And there's also the story of Lucius Cincinnatus, a Roman statesman who the Senate voted to give temporary dictatorial powers so he could lead them through a military crisis. When the crisis passed, he relinquished his power. In fact, when George Washington stepped down after 2 terms, the city of Cincinnati was named in his honor. Go Reds! But I want to reiterate my earlier position that dictatorships are bad, child murder is worse, and genocide is the worst thing humanity has ever done. But I think it's interesting to look at history, both ours and Vader's, and ask why these things happened. By understanding the context, we're able to recognize certain behaviors in ourselves, like ethnocentrism or faith in a strongman, and then check these impulses before they propagate. On a more micro level, understanding the mistakes of Luke's father might help him and us to look at the mistakes of our own parents or forefathers, and try to understand the context of their decisions. And by the way, in the end, Anakin was right. It did take someone strong to bring order to the galaxy. But it was actually Rey Palpatine all along.
What?
Let me know your thoughts down in the comments or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.